Now we're going to be looking at some teams who aren't currently performing to the standards that we expect, and we are going to start off with the Milwaukee Bucks. And it's not going great for them at this moment. Won one game, lost three. We've had questions around the compatibility of two of the star players of that team, Lillard and Antetokounmpo. Apparently, they didn't spend much time working in the off season because it's not showing. I mean, in their own individual games, maybe the numbers aren't disastrous. Saying that Lillard's 3-point numbers aren't looking great, but they're doing what you would expect them to do in their positions. However, the rest of the team is ugly. It's not looking good. And I think window, as we spoke about windows before, for the Milwaukee Bucks is shutting. First and foremost, I don't think Doc Rivers is or should have been the coach for this team. I think he should go. That's just me being and speaking freely. Like Doc previously, I just don't think it's going to work with this team. I don't think he gives this team what they need. Quite an old team now when you look at it. Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez definitely on the older side. Gary Trent brings a little bit of a younger presence. How much? Not sure. I think he's around 27, 28. Torian Prince, no. Pat Connaughton, no. They need to look at what direction they're going into and really build around their two-star players, because I don't think that's what they've done. That starting five that they've got is not going to be scaring many outside of Giannis and Dame. And if Dame and Giannis don't have a 1-2 punch that actually works, because that was what we were sold on, that Dame, Giannis in a pick and roll, it could be, very, very nasty, but we haven't seen it to that degree. And so I've got a lot of concerns about the Bucks, to be honest with you. I do think their window is closing. I think the quicker they get Doc out and, make the hire that they probably should have done in the beginning, they need one of those sickos who's going to maximize each and every element of his players, because I don't think the players in Milwaukee are being maximized. Next up, we're going to talk about the New York Knicks, my New York Knicks, and looking at them again. This season has not started off the way they would have wanted it. Some major changes in the off season. Yes, some of the changes I think were changes because they looked good and didn't necessarily fit your team in the way you needed them to. For example, you've got, you had Randall, Dante, you traded them away for Cat. Cat's not performing to the level that you would expect, if we're being honest. You don't know or haven't really integrated his way of playing, the pick and pop, him wanting to play, that kind of style. I don't think it's formally been integrated into the way that they're playing, and it's clear to see because they're not flowing in the way that they were flowing. They had a clear, distinct style of play previous to the changes that they made, bringing in Cat and Bridges, and now they need to reform that identity of how they play and how they do exactly what they do. I'm not going to cover anything substantially from a player standpoint. I will say that Josh Hart's 3-point shooting has been very, very poor. But again, his work rate and his ability on the glass can't be denied either. So he needs to pick that up. There was a similar point last season where he wasn't hitting his threes. But again, I think for New York Knicks, did they need to make the changes that they did? I don't necessarily think so. Should they have held off? Potentially, yes. But you want to maximize your window, and they've tried to maximize their window, so I cannot hate on that. But I think there's going to be a bedding process with Cat. I think Tibbs has to pull out his playbook and make some changes and adjustments to fit in one of his new key players. And after that, we'll see what the New York Knicks are capable of. I think for them, conference finals is a minimum. Nothing less should be accepted, and I think that should be clear. Next up, a team in the West we're going to be covering, the Denver Nuggets, who are currently 2-2. And there's a lot of questions about the Denver Nuggets. Everyone's blaming Russ. They're saying that Russ is the reason that they're not performing in the way that they used to. And I would say that it's an easy way of describing Denver Nuggets' current situation. I would say, again, I think, and I'm not saying it's 100% closed or is closing, and I don't think it can ever be closed when you've got Jokic on your team. But I've got serious concerns about the Denver Nugget championship window, because when they won their first one, we were talking about this could be another potential dynasty. You've got Michael Porter Jr., Jokic, Murray, Gordon. They got Braun coming up, Watson coming up. These guys are gonna, go crazy. That's not the case. That is not the case. Jokic is still doing what he's doing, hitting his shots from an absolutely absurd clip at the moment, grabbing his rebounds, getting in assists. No surprise there. Only thing that I would say would slightly be of worry is the supporting cast. Jamal Murray is shooting at a good rate from three, less so from the field, but also his play in general has fallen off from what we would expect. The last time we really saw him go off was in the Lakers playoff series last season, but even then he wasn't consistent, and so that gives me cause for concern. It's easy to blame Russ. I think Russ has been definitely trying. That field goal percentage is awful. Let's not, deny that. His shooting splits across the board, apart from free throw percentage, have been quite awful. But if he can give a spark like he did against the Nets, consistently and work hard and support his teammates, then definitely he can impact winning for the Denver Nuggets. I think there's just going to be an adjustment period, but you also need bigger contributions from the likes of a Jamal Murray. He needs to be that definitely in the 20 plus point scoring range, because outside of Jokic, he is by far and away their second best player. So he needs to be acting like it and definitely taking this team over the top. But yeah, the Denver Nuggets, I feel like not only attacking wise, but we'll check it. I may be wrong, but from a defensive standpoint as well, yeah, 19th, middle of the road, but even towards the bottom half. That's not what you would expect normally from them, and they need to be definitely doing a lot more. Next team and the final team that we're going to be covering, the New Orleans Pelicans. And I was going to leave them alone. I'll promise you, I was going to leave them alone until I watched the Golden State game against the Pelicans. And guys, I've been disgusted before, but when you lose to a Golden State team without Steph Curry, and you lose that badly as they did, yeah, I was really not impressed, because yes, they had injuries, the New Orleans Pelicans, but when you've got a front three or top three of Ingram, Williamson, McCollum, I know DeJounte Murray is injured, those three alone should be able to beat a Golden State without Steph Curry. And I'll be honest with you, Golden State is a team we probably should have covered as well. They're surprising a couple of people in terms of what they're doing. Yes, they've lost Clay, but the team basketball seems to be on another level at the moment, and we will cover them, I promise you that. But no, the New Orleans Pelicans should not be losing, and they're far enough in their progression as a team with BI, with Zion, with CJ, where this season they need to be getting into the playoffs comfortably, and they need to be progressing. If not, what are we doing here? Break it up, honestly. Again, looking at BI, he's at this point the leader. DeJounte, I think, will have a massive impact on this team. Them losing him for 4 to 6 weeks with a fractured hand is a massive, massive blow. I'm still not convinced on this team as a makeup, because you think about it and you look at it, and they should be in a decent position. They've got a lockdown defender in Herb Jones. They've got someone like DeJounte Murray who can set people up, who can defend. They should be good there. Zion, who's an athletic freak, should be getting and scoring on the inside pretty easily. That 41% isn't good enough for someone who's taking that amount of shots. And CJ, I mean, he's the vet. He should be leading them. He should be leading on the guard play as well. And I just don't think, as currently constructed, they will get to where they want to get to. I think a little bit more needs to be done. And I think there needs to be an assessment of who is your star player, who is your future player, because that should be Zion without a question or a doubt. And as more time goes on, I just don't see it. He seems to just be one of many. I can't even put too much pressure on him, because I don't think he can actually deliver to that level. And there was a point and period where he looked absolutely unstoppable. But the New Orleans Pelicans, I think, will do well. I'm a little bit concerned by that loss and how they're going to continue to progress going forward. But guys, this has been my review of some of the teams that are catching my attention in the East and in the West. Guys, we'll be catching up in a couple of days to see how the teams are progressing, and we'll see what other teams we want to spotlight and what else is going on around the league. Hopefully you've liked it. Make sure to comment, and I will catch you guys soon. Peace.